Hey guys, it's MG and the 365 podcast. Welcome back to another wonderful episode 2 precisely, and we hope it's all gonna be interesting and most especially enlightening for everyone out there listening. And trust me, it's not gonna be anything related to COVID-19 and its troubles, because by the grace of God we are moving on, and that's to the glory of God, And yes, if you haven't listened to the last episode, you should go try it out, because we spoke about moving on. We spoke about the things that you have to let go, the things that you can't let go of, things that you just have to carry on with. Gaining momentum for the right kind of race, because you all know that we've been through a lot of things this past a few months. So today we'll be dealing with a sensitive issue here, as you can already see on the title board. And we decided to treat this because when it comes to relating or being in a relationship with someone, there's no way you would get it wrong if you try as much as possible to obey and follow some major principles. There is no way also you would go through all the heartbreaks and frustrating issues and dilemma. If you can take out time to making sure you do it the right way. And I feel strongly that if young people of this day and age can take out time to sit and analyze a lot of things, if they can take out time to think about what and all it is they are going into beforehand, then I think things would not be as bad as the look today, or they won't be as bad as they are today, But you see, most of the times, all we see in the lives of young breeds today is nothing but the complete opposite. And that is what this podcast will be centered on today, as regards the issue of dating while in school. How bad can it be? How good can it also be? What impact would it have on your life, your academics? How mature are you to take the heat and pressure that comes with it, and lots more. But before we move on, I just want to say that you shouldn't be bothered if this podcast turns out to be a lengthy one. That'll be probably because we are going to try our best to touch some major points. But as it is, it's a podcast, right? And the wonderful thing about it is that you can multitask with it. Yes, you can do a lot of things while listening at the same time. You can drive and listen. You can even listen while taking a walk, while doing the dishes, while doing the laundries, the cooking, and just about any other thing you want to do. Of course, except swimming. Even if your phone is waterproof, you still cannot do that, right? But if for any reason you have to go, then it's fine. You can always come back and continue right from where you stopped. So let's dive in. So a lot of people find themselves asking questions like, is it right to date while in school or not? Is it a godly thing to do? I know some persons who are in court, fellowship and church inclined, which is a very good thing. Once you can balance all of that with your studies. But they are always in the fix of trying to make sure their feelings are never known to the opposite sex. That's if they develop one. Sometimes simply because they have been bounded by the fellowship, not to engage in such acts, or as the case may be. And so they go around with this misconception that dating while in school isn't godly. Or maybe that might not even have been the case. That might not even have been what the Church of Fellowship was trying to say. But because the information given out wasn't properly constructed, or managed, they got things all mixed up, and then everybody became brotherly and sisterly zoned. I'm sure you all know what I'm trying to say. But when people ask the is it right or wrong type of question as regards this, what I tell them is the question shouldn't be if it's right or not. Rather, the question should be, do I qualify for this? Sounds weird, right? But that's just what it is. Do I qualify? Can I do this? Can I stand? Or most young people fail to realize that being in a relationship is just like a stage, more like a class. It's just like finishing from your present class and moving on to the next higher one on the ground or basis that you have what it takes to be there, like your grades and the rest. And funny enough, same goes for all aspects of life, people. So why the hell should relationships be left out? Yeah. And trust me, guys, I won't fail to establish the fact that being young, being in school, and having to get mixed up with people, handsome dudes, pretty babes with all forms and shapes, woo, and the likes can be much of a pressure. In fact, the word is not can be, the word is it usually is. Because there's every tendency that you will feel a lot of things that will not be anywhere close to love, and it's fine, it's okay, it's totally natural. And tell you what, God himself, put all of those things that releases those feelings, that releases those emotions and the rest. And although he didn't put them there to be mismanaged or misused, but he totally and naturally created every one of us that way. And unfortunately, or should I say fortunately, I don't know the one to use. There is nothing any one of us can do about it. However, it can be controlled, guys. It can be controlled. Man is in total control of himself, right? And he's responsible for every single action he takes. And that is one powerful gift of God to man. And so, in respect to things like this, you're in total control and in charge of asking yourself a lot of questions and putting a lot of things into consideration, a few of which this podcast is going to be addressing. But all of this is if you're looking into managing your life properly. If you're under the sound of my voice right now and you're one of those guys who just feels like playing around and doing just about anything, you just enjoy being a playboy or a playgirl or a runs boy or a runs girl, like the way they say it here, then I'm sorry, this podcast is really not for you. Not that you should stop listening though. Maybe Jesus might touch your heart. Amen. But we could probably set out time to make one specially for you. But if you are here and are ready to take life seriously and get it right, no matter how young you are, then let's take a ride. So, as college students trying to find your way around life, when relationship situations comes up like this, it's important that you get sincere with yourself. Emphasis on being sincere by facing real facts, a few of which we're going to look at. So, now one of the things you might want to consider or ask yourself is, number one, am I mentally and emotionally ready for this? Do you have the basic people skills and basic understanding of human relationship? Like a mentor of mine would say, you can try to manage another version of you or one that is even worse than you when you haven't even mastered yourself. That's just going to be a simple suicide mission. So, do you know you? Do you know the act of self-mastery? Can you manage temperaments? A lot of guys can't even stand their friends and neighbors or even their colleagues' attitudes. Some persons can't even stand their own self, So self-mastery is key, guys, and it cannot be overlooked. And this brings me to want to share a little of my experience with you. So I remember back in school how that I used to hang around this dude that I was in a situationship with. Yes, I call it that because I got to realize that was what it was, So maybe one of these days we'll take our time to look at situations. You see, I can't even pronounce it because it's so hard. That's how difficult it can be. That's how deceiving it can be. Because a lot of people think that they are in a relationship, but it's not so. They are in something else, something more stressful, But so with my little and very low knowledge of what a love life should look like, I thought I could manage one. And so we were always quarreling and having misunderstanding over little things. But that wasn't the problem. The problem was on how it affected me. Usually when we have misunderstanding like that, it was always very difficult for me to focus. Maybe because of my kind of person, but that should not be an excuse for anybody. So I'm this kind of person that like to always be at peace with everybody, and I'm sure some of you are like that. I don't care who you are. I don't care if you're a stranger or something. I don't just like the bad vibe flowing between us, let alone someone who I'm intimate with or something. So, but anyways, when things happen like that, it was hard for me to study and concentrate in class. Let alone participate in other important things. So now, because my mind will always travel back to that event and how that he was wrong and I was right and who needs to apologize and the rest. And I know some of you might be saying one or two things. Oh, you didn't know how to do this, you didn't know how to do that, and oh, you were just new and the rest. You see, whatever you have to say, it doesn't matter. What matters is that when two people are going into something like this, you have to look at emotional maturity there, okay? That would help you be able to stand, okay? So I knew little or nothing about that, and permit me to say that that's the problem with the female gender. Most times we are overly emotional. We are overly emotionally inclined, and we have little or no idea on how to manage them. And the truth is that no matter how much I claimed to have liked this person, one person, he wasn't the reason why I came to school in the first place, and I wasn't the reason why he came to school. As a matter of fact, we both never had each other in the picture, but things happened. So, but on the flip side, he wasn't as bad as I was, he wasn't losing his good grades. He wasn't, finding it so difficult to concentrate with his studies, whether we quarreled, whether we were in good terms or not. But on the other hand, I was bad at it. I know you might want to say, oh, he wasn't a nice guy. How could he have seen you dropping? You were losing your grades and the rest. Well, we can't blame anybody for our predicaments, okay? So, and we can also say that he was emotionally good because he couldn't also help me be stable, Those times when I wasn't able to focus and the rest, he couldn't help me do that, even though that he wasn't being as affected as I was. And you see, that is where it is. Both parties have to, have emotional and mental balance. Because your partner's maturity and emotional intelligence will always have a way of affecting you in one little way or the other. So, can you stand yourself? Can you manage this? On the other side of it again, looking at Matthew chapter 5, verse 38, how that Jesus was giving a sermon on one of the mounts, and he was like, I know that you have been told that it's an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth, but I tell you not to try to get even with a person who has done something to you. So, and he went forward to say, when a person slaps you on the right, turn the other, and the rest. And this wasn't Jesus saying you should let people trample on you and take you for granted, but this was him, preaching emotional intelligence and telling them how that it's important to get to that place where you control your own behavior. That place where you don't have to react to the person the way they react to you, or reacting to anything and everything and fighting every battle that comes your way. Because that in the first place is all what maturity is about when dealing with people. See guys, God is going to bring a lot of people across your path, but it's your maturity level that will determine how successful you are. So what's your maturity level? How do you handle the issues of life? Have you mastered the act of overlooking things? Have you mastered the act of holding down your feelings and being patient? Because the key to attracting the kind of person you want is also to be that person. So can you do that? Have you gotten to that extent where you've mastered your emotions and your feelings? Because love is not just a feeling, it's actually a commitment and an action to save another human being, even when they are not deserving of it. And so maturity and emotional intelligence is crucial for every relationship to work, And also, if peradventure a breakup happens, can you also cope? You need to consider all of that, And that brings us to the second point, which is the act of balancing. You might want to ask yourself, can you cope with having to deal with a relationship in school and your academics? This point is also somehow intertwined with the first one. So right now, permit me to say that this could be a possible one. Okay, it can be possible, but can also be really very difficult, especially when the both parties are just coming on board, or maybe that's the first time that they are getting to do something like that. But what this requires of you is to be emotionally stable, like we discussed in our first point. And this also means that no matter how important that relationship is to you, you have to set your priorities right. So I couldn't set my priorities right. I was losing sight of, my goals or the reasons why I came to school. I allowed some other things to cloud my head. Okay, I wasn't sticking to the point and everything. I was letting some other things rub off on me, things that weren't even important. Because as important as that relationship is, your academics is also very much important, except maybe if you do not care. So this is not to say that you can do both, but the question is, have you mastered balance? You've got to know what is important to you at every step and every stage of your life, guys. Like a friend of mine would say, as young people, we tend to get carried away with every new relationship that we get into, and we find ourselves bringing our excitedness into every discussion with our friends, even into our eating and into our praise and worship. Can you imagine? That's what he said. So, but to be able to find balance, you've got to set your priorities right, guys. Because that's even the first reason why you were on board, or why you are on board, So can you keep your eyes on the prize while trying to enjoy some other thing wholeheartedly? Because that is where so many persons miss it. And you see, scripture says that to everything under the earth, there is a time and there is a season. That's what the whole of Ecclesiastes 3 took time to talk about. So if you must do this, it's simple. You have to find balance, and a proper one at that. So you're in class and you receive a text message from Boo or from Bay, and boom, you're carried away, and matter of fact, you just missed the information that was passed at that point in time. Where the treasure of a man is, that's where his heart would be. I mean, think about it. We already get enough distractions from our regular friends on a daily basis, let alone someone, we are intimate with. How hard can it even get? Especially when we do not even have what it takes to stand. And ladies, let's face facts here a bit. The percentage of ladies who perform poorly in school as a result of relationship issues are higher in number than the guys. And trust me, you don't want to be on this table. Coming from me to you, it is frustrating. Except, of course, you're one girl or you're one lady who doesn't really care about her studies, And that's because we ladies expect so much from our relationship, and it's fine. But, there's the saying that where there is high expectation, there is always a tendency that you would there's always a tendency you'd be disappointed. And besides, the guys who you are expecting so much from sometimes have little or nothing to offer. And that's why you can find a guy in a relationship with more than one lady and still be academically sound. Because when it comes to studying, he knows what to do and how to find his way around it if he's really passionate about it. And you can't beat that. Every guy listening right now knows what I'm talking about. And this is not me trying to justify their actions or something, but they were naturally created that way, okay? They are more logical than emotional, okay? And before you know it, low self-esteem begins to set in. Ladies, you don't want to be on this place where you feel incapable and down about yourself. So in general, point 2 is saying managing relationships in college actually involves both parties having to set their priorities right. So what's important to you, and how important is that thing? See, you might not be studying the course of your dreams, but how important is adapting to the school's learning system and graduating with a good standing point important to you? You know what I mean? How important is developing a skill or acquiring some knowledge from your years of school important to you? Now, whatever answers you sincerely come up with will definitely decide the path you walk in. And now, our third point. But before we dive into this point, let me just do a quick one about our sponsor. So thirdly, your intentions. Oh, you have to consider this. You just might want to ask yourself that. Now, are you part of those who are usually surrounded by people, roommates or friends who constantly talk about how their day with their dates turned out, and then you begin to feel left out? Now, man wasn't built to, live in isolation. So it means that there is every tendency you would want to do what others are doing, okay? Your favorite style of dressing might have been because, you saw someone dressed that way and you were probably wild and you decide to, take that. It could be even your favorite food or just about anything. Name it. There are so many. So we tend to copy our environments. That's what I'm trying to say. And it's not a bad thing if it's on the positive side. But to everything, there is a why question. And you need to answer that. So, are you testing the waters, or you want to build a life? Or are you doing it because everyone else is doing it and the pressure seems to be too much for you to hold? Or are you part of those that just love? You guys need to know that there are some persons who love. They just love the act of being in love. That's what it means. So they can't do without romance even for a single day. Yes, there are people like that. Or are you looking to date him or her because of financial security and fame or what, or maybe you are part of those who are so very insecure and always in constant need for someone to be there for you emotionally, financially, or academically. Or maybe you're looking for a guy or a girl who can take care of your physical needs. Or are you trying to prove how mature you are as a lady or how manly you've become as a man? It could even be spiritual. So what? You feel a leading in your heart. God is saying something. God is saying you should hook up with this sister and you should hook up with this brother, whatever it is. Or are you trying to even satisfy your lust and your sexual urges? And it can be both ways, But again, ladies, I know that you know what I'm going to say, but y'all need to be careful at this junction, because most of the times ladies fall prey to this. You're thinking he loves you and he showers you with all the sweet words and gifts you've ever wanted, but then all he just wants is your body. And with all of this is not me telling you to go break up with anybody. You know best what to do. But if you're probably out there listening to this right now and you're part of those thinking about how your friends and other people are gonna look at you, if you stop hanging around that babe or if you stop hanging around that dude, let me tell you something. Nobody cares. Rude, right? But I'd say it again, bro. Nobody cares, and that's the absolute truth. Nobody cares about the number of material things you've acquired or how famous you've become or something, or the number of girls you've been able to hook up with in a semester. If you look closely, guys, nobody really cares about your status, People don't even care where and how you end up. All they care about is the story that they get to carry around and the lots of things that they can feed their eyes with, and probably how that you ended up, being a scapegoat and a laughingstock in school. While some other people don't even know if you exist or not. So what I'm trying to say is there are a lot of reasons out there, and there's just got to be one or more that is leading you into that action you are about to take or you have already taken. But all I just want to say is, whatever reason it is, it's got to be the right one that is not going to pull you down, but lift you up and bring light to every other area of your life. And the day you decide to make personal development, seeking to become a better person, while also helping the other person become better, the day you decide to make that one of your intentions, then permit me to say you've just passed one of the many relationship exams you could ever participate in. And lastly, the God factor. Now, I know we said let's talk sense here, but trust me, this wouldn't be complete if we can't help but acknowledge that we need to draw strength from the perfect foundation, which is God. And I don't know if you're listening to this podcast right now and you're not a believer or you're not a Christian, but in our own kingdom, this is just how we do it. You see, so I don't care about the movies you watch, guys, the people you listen to, the books you read, the podcasts you download, and the rest. But you are not certified, and it's not complete until you consult the author and creator of relationships. Today, most young people do not even see the need to do that. And maybe that's out of the fact that they know that God's timing is never man's timing and God's ways are never man's ways. And so out of that frustration and with thinking that they know best, they get to do it anyways. Let me tell you something, guys. God is very much interested in every single area of our lives, including who we hang out with. Yes, He's not a compelling God, but He's interested in our well-being, our time, the way we spend it, what and who we spend it with, where we go, down to what we eat, and surprisingly, what we wear. Just about anything, So you can't afford to mess things up at the early stage and then come back with tears in your eyes asking God why it happened, all this, all that. Because personally, I think he's gonna be like, oh dear, I have no idea what you're talking about. I mean, what are you trying to say? I don't understand you, because you never involved him in the first place. You never told him when you were going to do that thing. I mean, you never sought his face or something. So yes, you need to seek his face before venturing into any kind of relationship. And for you to be able to do that, guys, you have to build yourself up to that extent where you always ask him about what he thinks. I mean, about every issue in your life. So if you're not there, this point might just be a little hard. I mean, a little difficult, for you. Because it really can be a hard thing that needs constant practice, and most of the times his answers may not be what you want to hear. Because even when you're asking him about it and your emotions are already deeply clouded with that person, you're gonna think he's saying a yes when he's clearly saying a no, and vice versa. So if you are a believer, or at least claim to be one, this is how we do it in our kingdom. So how much of God, my question to you is, how much of God have you let into your life? How much of an inquirer have you become? Scripture says, and David inquired of the Lord. He said, should I pursue? If I pursue, will I overtake? You might find it very interesting to know that at that time, when Uncle David was asking that question, he was so confused. I mean, he had never been more confused and frustrated in his life than that. You might just want to look it up, So, has someone walked up to you telling you about how he or she wants you guys to be together, and probably your response was, I'll think about it? At least that's one of the most heard replies, That's one of the things that's one of the replies that people get. So, but when you say that now, what's your thinking about it going to look like? Are you giving it up to God, or are you going to carry out your own analysis and just make your own decisions? And funny enough, this whole issue is not a difficult one, or at least shouldn't be for us. But it is today, because most of the times we complicate issues, We go to God having made up our minds and then expecting Him to give us answers that suit our hearts. But if we can take our time to be with Him, if you can take out time with Him, or take it up with Him, telling Him how that you never want to miss it as regards who you should or shouldn't be with, He's gonna show up, guys. And you had better be ready, because show up, He certainly will. And again, most people do not even bother about this because your intentions are totally off the table. I mean, yours is not even something to look at, So we inquire about every area of our lives. We inquire about the kind of school we want to go to. We inquire about the kind of jobs we want to do. We inquire about the places we want to go, the people we want to meet. I mean, we inquire about, just anything and everything in our life. So why the hell do we think we shouldn't inquire about the people that we want to share our lives with? The earlier you get this, guys, the better for you. And the truth is that we would always get to face a whole lot of issues in our relationship. But, getting to that point where that you have a backing from God, and that He would always find a way to soften your heart and give you that peace that you need. Having that in mind so much brings comfort and gentleness to your soul. So guys, we've got to respect God's timing. Just because you already want something doesn't mean He's ready for you to have it. You have to know that. He just might still want to help you put a lot of things in place that are paramount as regards your life. Sometimes He needs to empty your life so that He can bring the right kind of persons around. And it requires a whole lot of patience and work with God to get God's best. So learn to stay obedient to your process and stop comparing your life to others. And as we round up this release, I just want to say to the ladies out there, y'all need to have standards, man. I mean, you guys need to set your priorities right. You need to build your life. You need to get to that place where you love yourself fully. And I'm not talking about the selfish kind of love here, but not until you understand the importance of loving yourself, you are never going to know what the right kind of love is. And I'm not trying to be a feminist here. Oh, please, I'm not. But that's just what it is. You all need to get to that point where you understand that guys are more logical than emotional. And if only you can get the foundation right and move in line with what God has in store for you, you're going to save yourself from all the stress that comes from a terrible kind of relationship. Like they say, standards won't hurt you. They will only end up saving you and driving the wrong kind of guys while attracting the right ones. So ladies, learn to put value on yourself, because in reality, nobody increases anybody's value. So have value. And lastly, to everyone out there, and most especially to the college guys, because this podcast is for you. I don't know if you know this, but I'm going to loud it for you. Don't try to leave too early. This is the time to build yourself in body, in mind, in competence, in capability. This is the time to enjoy friendship to the brim. Time to live will come, guys. If you leave too early, then you will not enjoy life the way you are supposed to. You don't have to have a boyfriend or a girlfriend in your first year in school and go through multiple heartbreaks before you graduate from college. Where the hell are you even trying to focus on building your life? These things take so much time and energy, guys. So you've got to build yourself up well if you want to live well. For there is a certain time to grow and there is a certain time to live. If you leave too early, you will not grow. And if you do not grow, the scale and the scope of your life will be very limited. And that shouldn't happen to you guys. So grow, learn, live, love, enjoy friendship, and most importantly, get your foundation right. The end. Okay, that was lengthy. Like really lengthy. But I'm glad you guys stayed till the end. And as usual, don't forget to leave your likes and your reviews, your comments, what you think we should have added to this episode, what you want us to talk about. And you can reach me via my Instagram handle, my Facebook handle, or my email, or you can even send a voice message through to this podcast via the link below. Thank you guys, and see you in our next episode. Peace.